And we are live for our first new Warrior Goddess Weekly. So I want to make sure that you guys are getting me across all of our platforms. And I'm so excited to share things with you today. So we are going to be going live every single week for Warrior Goddess Weekly. And I'm excited to share this with you. So let me make sure that one, that you guys can see me across the platforms, and two, that you are connecting with me also through our podcast, because we're going to stream all of this all across of the board. Yeah. So let me check that it is going live and working for us in here. I may need to actually, honestly, sometimes with these setups, Facebook specifically does really make you want to jump through some hoops. Here we go. So I'm going to share this inside, and then that's how we're going to do it. Okay, perfect. So I would love to know where you are all at. And I really want to check in with you and share some interesting, fun changes. We're going to use our Warrior Goddess Weekly as a way for us to check in what is going on with us in terms of our connection to, moon cycles, celestial events, what's going on with energies, how this may affect us, why, as we move into seasonal changes, this might affect us specifically for each of our warrior goddess archetypes. Yeah. So I consider myself a wellness alchemist. Now, what is that? That is the kick-ass catalyst in the transformation of women to become stronger of mind, body, and character. And I am indeed the creator of Warrior Goddess Kettlebell Training, but I now believe myself to also be the summoner of the Warrior Goddess Saga. So I'm creating a mythical, but both practical wellness world where women can identify with their warrior goddess archetype and step in to become the warrior goddess that they were born to be, through learning more about their own strengths, their challenges, their own little flavor of self-sabotage as they try to become healthier, lose weight, get in shape, all of these things, because it's my belief as we hit our midlife that we are not shrinking anymore, that we are reawakening who we are. And sometimes we need a reset. Sometimes we need a reminder. Sometimes we need to really tap into both the biology, the psychology of what's going on, but also the spiritual side of that and rise as warrior goddesses, right? And this has always been my calling. This has always been really at the essence of what I've been trying to talk about here on social media and online for the last over 10 years now. Can you believe it? And it's really about seeing that life is about, as we move into different phases of our lives, right? We are different. We are different in so much as we bring our experiences and our wisdom and the challenges that we've had to overcome. And maybe hormonally we're different, maybe physically we're different, but also we need to be reminded of who we are at the core. And when I created Warrior Goddess Kettlebell Training, what I really wanted to create was a community or a movement or this concept that fitness isn't just about lifting some weights or doing a bit of cardio, right? That this isn't just about strength training and teaching you how to swing your kettlebell or do a perfect plank, right? This was about the trifecta, the coming together, the overlap of the biology. Yes, of course, let's talk about the hormones. Let's talk about, micronutrients. Let's talk about nourishing our body with good nutrition. But we also need to talk about the psychology, like what is going on in our mind and our mindset. What could be the blocking? What could be blocking our motivation? What could be stopping us from believing in ourselves, the lack of boundaries, the constant people pleasing, because we know, and it is proven by science, that not speaking up, not speaking our truth, resentment, anger, constant people pleasing, not putting ourselves first is actually linked to some serious and chronic issues, from chronic stress, chronic fatigue, all the way through into your cancers, your stroke, your all of the big scary heart disease and things like that, that as women in midlife, we're beginning to think about. Right? We're beginning to think about our bodies in that way, right? We need to stay strong and age fiercely as we move into that, right? And this is what I wanted for Warrior Goddess Weekly and for Wellness Alchemy. So today, and I've put some notes in for us because I want to make sure we're staying on track. I want to talk about the supermoon in Aries. So, welcome to the Warrior Goddess Weekly. This is your ritual reset for strength, sovereignty, and indeed wellness alchemy. So, each week we're going to blend your moon cycles, your seasonal wisdom, your body, mind, spirit practices, which is true wellness alchemy, so that you can help you to overcome that guilt and shame and people pleasing, that you can overcome your own little modalities of self sabotage, that you can be free from burnout, free from exhaustion, that you can actually pursue your wellness goals. You can lose the weight, you can get in shape, you can get stronger, you can overcome the pains, the aches, and the other conditions that you have, to sleep better, to balance those hormones without constantly having to seek out medical advice, which is often just, medical misogyny and overlooking of women, right? And to help you to reawaken that warrior goddess within, but to really step into your own power again and reawaken that, right? Before you were mother, before you were the business owner, before you were the entrepreneur, before you were the colleague, the employee, the boss lady, before you were the wife, even the sister, right? Even the daughter. Okay. So today we're under a supermoon in Aries. So as we are going live for our Warrior Goddess Weekly, wherever you are at in the world, you have either experienced our supermoon or you are in its thrall at this point, right? So the supermoon in Aries is all about being bold, amplifying, truth telling, right? And we're going to harness its fire, but not get burned or burned out by it. And this is our call to action for you. So, as the supermoon sits closer to Earth, our emotions and our body signals are louder. As we've moved, and this kind of signals the end of our major eclipse season that's been going on over the last couple of weeks, which I don't know about you, but this eclipse season has meant a lot to me. I have felt massive amounts of shifts, massive amounts of transformation, really honoring who I am and the voice that I want to be seen and heard, to really begin this reawakening within myself. And this supermoon feels like the culmination of that in a long ways, right? But it also opposes the sun in Libra, right? Which is about harmony and relationships. So we're spotlighting self versus others. So, translation, are you dimming yourself to keep the peace, pushing so hard that you scorch your own energy? Yeah. So in wellness alchemy terms, your nervous system, that and your hormones, your biology, your patterns, your psychology, and your purpose, your spirit, want alignment and not overdrive. Okay. So let's talk about what this does for each of our warrior goddess archetypes. So I consider myself now the summoner of the warrior goddess saga, and within it we have our key warrior goddess archetypes, who will soon become, yes, characters in their own saga. But I want you to use this as a tool to kind of, you know, not necessarily identity, like seeing the identity of others, but seeing yourself in these archetypes can help you to begin the process of self-knowledge so that you can see your strengths. You can also see your self-sabotages, but you can also identify those opportunities for growth, for change, for transformation. So the warrior archetype. So we're going to start with the archetype that was probably truest for me for a very, very long time. Yeah. So the warrior goddess archetype is, we're here to teach you how to move from your shadow to your strength. Okay. So with the warrior archetype, those are my ladies who love the kettlebell training, who love to build themselves with sacred strength, but sometimes fall into burnout really quickly. So you want to push harder. You want to prove your worth. You want to win the week. But sometimes pride comes before a fall, okay? Overtraining, white knuckling your way through, ignoring your recovery, ignoring your rest. Yeah. So the strength opportunity here is lead with precision, not pressure. Okay. So you want to channel that fire, that fire and flame within you into structured effort and deliberate rest. Okay. Strong does not equal nonstop. Okay. It's not about nonstop. We want to challenge you to think about, more is not better. It's just more. Okay. It's about deliberate rest and about structured effort. Okay. 10-minute workouts, 30-minute workouts, no more, not pushing yourself with endless hours of cardio, not overtraining, not training for the sake of it, not feeling guilty for not moving or training, right? Learning deliberate rest. And your one micro move could be to cap your session at 20 minutes. That's it. Bookend with your breath, maybe do some breath work, some good stretching each side. And we don't want, to log hours. We want to log our wins. Yes? Okay. So for our seeker, how is this supermoon in Aries affecting you? So, under Aries, the shiny object sprinting. So you're starting everything, finishing nothing. You're chasing validation. You're hesitating until it's perfect. So for you, your strength opportunity is to convert curiosity into commitment. Choose one path for 7 days. That's what our momentum plan does for you. One path for 7 days, and check in your wins, measure the progress. Okay. You honor your progress through measurement. And that action will clarify. It'll make it very easy where your path lies. So your one micro move, pick a single daily ritual. Your prudie for breakfast, your 10-minute kettlebell flow, right? You're getting 8 hours of sleep. You're drinking 2 hours of water. You're taking your supplements. You are going for that walk in nature. You're doing breath work or meditation or EFT tapping. And you can't swap it. You can't change it until next week. You can't add to it, right? You got to stick with that one micro move. Okay, alchemists. Where are my alchemists? Yeah. Self-sabotage under Aries. You're tinkering. Ladies, you're tinkering instead of doing. I know this one. I think the alchemist is kind of where I'm at right now. Is you're constantly in planning mode. You're constantly in, I'll read the cards, I'll do the journaling, but you're not taking action. You're optimizing the plans. You're tweaking those macros. You're creating new spreadsheets. You've got your journal and your new books out again. You've got, your new toys that you're doing. You're just moving stuff around. You're not actually moving. There's very little embodiment, and you need the embodiment, right? Alchemists need to ground themselves so much, right? And ground themselves into their body, move out of their head, right? Move out of the head with the head chakra, and in Chinese medicine, your spirit well, right? You need to move into the body. So your strength opportunity is to turn that theory into ritual. Minimum variable practice beats maximum hypothetical plan. So alchemists, the spell work needs work, right? It's not just the spell. You need to work. Work comes in the body. It's about moving that body. So your micro move, set a 10-minute timer, and you do some movement, stretching, kettlebell training, even EFT tapping can fall in here, right? Maybe it's, make the soup. I'm going to make soup later. So that's why I'm thinking about it. Okay. Prep one high protein meal, stir the harmony in it with a figure of 8. Yeah. Or stir, the love and nurturing into it, right? Which is part of your wellness alchemy. Guardian. Okay. Self-sabotage under Aries. You're overprotecting again. Your energy with rigidity. There's so much rigidity in your energy. You're saying yes to duty, but you're saying no to your needs. This will you know, you need to begin to control your spirals. As you spiral down, as you continue to people please, as you put everybody else first, you will begin to get so overwhelmed. And when you spiral into massive amounts of resentment, which you also keep hidden, and you end up in a pity party and feeling so very stuck. You've got boundary fatigue, right? You are getting close to burnout. So your strength opportunity, you need clean, kind boundaries. You need recovery, and the boundaries need to be about your recovery, right? Saying no to things that are just draining your energy. You need to protect yourself and preserve your own power, not to isolate necessarily. So I know during this time, your first thought is to pull back away from others because they're overwhelming. They're overwhelming because you have no boundaries. You need stronger boundaries so that you can still be in the world, but that they're not sucking the energy out of you. So your one micro move, name one non-negotiable window, right? Sleep, walk, or training. Pick something that you know feeds your energy, feels good, will build that inner promise for you. I mean, you need to build self-trust and your inner promise like you need air right now, okay? So one non-negotiable, right? My 10-minute movement practice. That's a really good one. I do that a lot with guardians. And that's sacred. That does not move. If somebody asks you to do things, you say no. This is important to you. You got to communicate it. You got to stand, right? You got to rise into this leadership, and you have to keep it like a sacred appointment. Okay. So you got to notice which archetype voice is loudest today, or you go and do our quiz. So the Warrior Goddess Saga.com. You don't actually need the www. It's just the Warrior Goddess Saga.com. Okay, so you can do that quiz today to find out which one you fall into. Then you can join the quest for you, our $7 quest specifically for your archetype, which is going to help you to overcome your self-sabotage and identify your strength. But there may be a archetype's voice that's louder for you today. And maybe you need to go and do that quest for that archetype, for that call, right? So it's not your flaw. It's not about perfection. It's not about being broken. It's about your direction of growth, specifically under the super moon. So we're going to take 1 minute now to help us to take some embodied alchemy. Okay. This is part of our Warrior Goddess Weekly. So I want you to take a second. So hopefully if you're listening to this as a podcast, do not do this if you're driving. But I want you to put your hand on your heart and one on your throat. Okay. For guardians, this is especially for you. But I want you to begin to breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth, and continue with 5 slow cycles on this spot. And I want you to notice as you do this, and keeping your hand on the heart and one on the throat, where do you feel the tension? Where do you feel the heat? Where do you feel restriction, right? If you are a guardian, is it your throat that feels more restricted, that you cannot speak up? Do you feel a sense of safety in your heart, or do you need to feel safe? And with your boundary, what gets a loving no this week? Say it out loud. So if you're not feeling heard, if you're feeling the tension in the throat, what does that feel like? If you're feeling not safe in your heart and your heart feels unprotected, it feels weak, it feels fluttery, then where do you need to feel safe? Yes. So you need to move with intention. So if you want to learn more about that movement, your kettlebell flow, your walk, your mobility, shifting your state before you shift your strategy is very important. Yeah. So again, that would be the quest for the warrior. And as we are indeed inside a full moon, the grimoire, the Wellness Alchemy grimoire, which is our alchemist's quest, also has an invitation for a full moon meditation and ritual, which you can do specifically for our supermoon in Aries. So write what you're done carrying, the guilt, the proving, the perfection. Burn, tear under the moon safely, and speak your new claim. So if you're ready to stop the loop of people pleasing, over pushing, over planning, then start your Warrior Goddess quest. So you can take the Warrior Goddess quiz, the Warrior Goddess Saga, SAGA.com. Find out whether you are warrior, seeker, alchemist, or guardian, and how you can lead the right way for you, the path right now. It'll point you to that matching quest so you can turn today's awareness into daily embodied wellness alchemy in action, right? Because strength is sacred. The moon lit the path, but now you need to step into it. So if you want to join us again, we will still be going live every week with the Goddess Got Goals podcast, in addition to our Warrior Goddess Weekly. You can see us also on the Warrior Goddess Saga on YouTube and join us here live inside the Warrior Goddess Tribe community, which you can join at warriorgoddesskettlebelltraining.com/tribe. And I hopefully that was really interesting for you today. I'm really excited to be going live regularly as the Warrior Goddess Weekly to share with you the Warrior Goddess Saga and your chance to rise as part of your different Warrior Goddess archetype, so you can identify your strengths, this shadow side, bring that into light and see the opportunities laid for you for Wellness Alchemy in action. So until then, we look forward to connecting with you, as always, within our tribe community. And remember, strength is sacred. The moon lit the path. Now step into it.